On today's episode of the Locked On NHL podcast, can the Kings make it past the first rounds? Maybe if they don't play Edmonton again.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Locked On NHL podcast, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. We are your first listen each and every day, and we are your team each and every day as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Today's episode of Locked On NHL is getting closer to the top of the pyramid. We're talking Los Angeles Kings today, Dallas Stars, and Toronto Maple Leafs, as we answer burning questions for each team ahead of the 2025-2026 season. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, joined by JD Young of Locked On Sharks. JD, the Los Angeles Kings are a very good home team.
Yes.
They're a team that has had some trouble getting out of the first round recently. They're a team that just seems destined to play the Edmonton Oilers every single season. These are all facts. Yes. These are all true statements.
True.
The question is this group suffering from Oileritis, or is this a group that maybe has hit the ceiling of their roster and is in need of a little bit of a shakeup to get higher up?
That's the question, right? With this team, right? This Kings team that has, right, as you mentioned, it's Groundhog Day again. The team, they're very good in the regular season. They're a very good defensive team. They make it to the playoffs where they have to play the Edmonton Oilers, and they lose in the first round of the Edmonton Oilers, usually in some sort of heartbreaking fashion. And we've seen it for the last bajillion years, it feels like. Off season, right? We know they fired Rob Blake after, be kind of guiding him through the rebuild. They hire Ken Holland, who, of course, worked for the Oilers, to try to kind of get them over the hump here. They, kind of swap out some of their defensive pieces here, bringing in, guys like Cody Ceci, Brian Dumoulin to add a little bit of more kind of toughness and veteran defensive. They bring in Corey Perry, who unfortunately is he's going to be missing some time with a knee injury. Sounds like the beginning of the season with him, but it's a lot of the same guys that this team has, and you wonder, what do you, if you're the Kings fan, what do you point to and say, this thing is going to be better than it was last year? Because like you said, right, very good defense. Okay, you swapped out a couple pieces here, and we'll see if they can be the same, but most of the forward group is basically the same. With Kopitar is going to be entering the last year of his season or of his career. You have Quentin Byfield, Philip Deneau, Kevin Fiala, all these big names. There's not much that you can point to and say, this is the reason why this team can take the next step.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, just looking at a large portion of what you're relying on with this lineup. You're relying on a heavy dose of Anze Kopitar, who has announced that this is going to be his final season in the NHL. He's 38. You are relying on a heavy dose of Adrian Kempe. He's 29. Kevin Fiala is 29. Who is going to all of a sudden substantially raise and elevate their play? Quentin Byfield's probably the one guy that you can point to and say he's definitely got some more room that he's definitely got some runway that he can work with. But beyond that, I mean, you've got a bunch of guys that are kind of mid to high 20s to mid to early 30s. And
they are.
It just makes you wonder if they've kind of hit that ceiling and they just have gotten to the point where they can't really, go above and beyond? And are they going to need to make a major swing at the deadline? I mean, the one area that was kind of a pleasant surprise from this past season, I think, was the goaltending. We didn't know what to expect from Darcy Kemper. Can you rely on that, though? Again, can you rely on Kemper to do what he did at 35 years old? I know goalies tend to kind of hit their peak at a little different pace than forwards and defensemen. But can you rely on him to get through another full season like that? It kind of feels like if any of these areas slip even a little bit, this might go from a team that was in the playoffs and got ousted in round one again to a team that finishes on the outside looking in.
I think, though, maybe with the addition of Anton Forsberg, who had a really good, pretty solid season with the Sens last year, maybe it takes a little bit of load off of Kemper so he doesn't have to kind of be the guy every night. And maybe you look to Brandt Clark, who the Kings have been very slow with his development. They drafted him in the 8th overall in the 2021 season. And it kind of feels like this is the year where the reins are, the training wheels are coming off and Brandt Clark is going to take a bigger role as a guy who's an RFA. And Drew Doughty is going to be back, right? Not dealing with a full injury, the injury that he dealt with last year. But you hope like a guy like Brandt Clark, maybe he takes a step and kind of starts to take that mantle from Drew Doughty, who's been, a backbone to this team's blue line for the past couple, for forever. I mean, since their cup runs. But I think that's the path, right? Is if Brandt Clark has that big season, they traded Jordan Spence to the Sens to try to open up this pathway for Brandt Clark. And I think Clark and Byfield, if those guys can kind of have big seasons here, that might be kind of the hope that the Kings can get out of the first round. But I mean, in all honesty, does the regular season even matter for the Kings, right? Because again, we've seen this song and dance with them so many times. Like I assume for Kings fans, like the regular season doesn't matter. Like just get into the playoffs and can you get out of the first round? And if you're stuck playing Edmonton again, can you slay the dragon, right? And can you be that team? So yeah, I think this is going to be a season where this team is so, like you mentioned, this team is such a veteran team. They have so many guys kind of know exactly what they're supposed to be. And I think it's going to be just getting ready for the playoffs. And hopefully you don't. I mean, if you're a Kings fan, though, do you want to draw Edmonton or would you take Vegas or if anybody else pops up? Assuming Vegas, I think we'll probably both have Vegas as the favorite to win this division. Yeah. But you're most likely going to play Edmonton again if you're the 2-3, like in that mix, or maybe a team pops up and moves the Kings down into the wild card. But if you're playing Edmonton, like it kind of feels like they have to beat Edmonton to kind of get this thing going, or else it's always going to be, well, they could never take care of Edmonton.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think at some point you just have to
slay the dragon.
Yep. You just got to find a way to get the sword blow that knocks the dragon out. And it's going to be an Edmonton team once again that comes in with a lot of the same questions. Yeah. So at some point
I am interested really quickly. I am interested to see Liam Greentree, who's a guy they drafted in the first round a couple seasons ago, if he makes the roster out of camp and like how they manage him. Because he's one of those guys who's clearly too good to go back in the OHL, but can't play in the NHL because of his age, et cetera, or in the AHL because of his age. I am curious to see how they handle Greentree, if maybe they kind of, especially with such a veteran roster, where if they do the Will Smith or the Leo Carlson thing where they kind of keep the training wheels on the first half of the season, keep him around the team, and then as he gets more comfortable, you kind of take the training wheels off and see if he can provide some an injection of life in your middle six there. So I am curious to see what Greentree, how they manage him.
Yeah, any little bit of youth injection, I think, for a roster like this is going to be a good thing. It just, they have been a relatively healthy team for the last couple of seasons too. So you kind of worry about that. I don't know. At some point, it seems it feels kind of similar to the Minnesota Wild's situation, and just that at some point you just have to rise up and overcome that demon, whether it's a specific team, whether it's the first round in general. At some point, you just got to kind of rise up and get tired of it and take care of business.
If they don't, you wonder. I've always wondered if they rush their rebuild. That's just one of the questions I've had about their kind of team building, like when they traded Fiala and just kind of signaled like, okay, we're done rebuilding. They traded for Fiala. And I always kind of wonder if they rushed their rebuild a little bit. But anyway, that's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah. Let's move to the Dallas Stars, who had a very notable end to their season, to say the least. We'll talk about how they regroup, how they move on from the Pete DeBoer debacle. That is on the way as we continue today's episode of Locked On NHL after this. Today's episode of Locked On NHL is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel offers a wide variety of different betting options too, whether it be live, in-game, parlays, futures. They have you covered every step of the process. And whether you feel like betting spontaneously or more planned out, FanDuel puts it all in one place, so it is easy as pie. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. The Dallas Stars, who were upended in the postseason, they had a rough go getting into the playoffs even at the end, losing their last 7 games. But the thing that everybody remembers is what Pete DeBoer did to Jake Ottinger at the end of the season. Gave up a couple of goals right off the bat in the final game of the series. Got yanked. And Pete DeBoer pulled out the stats. He pulled out the receipts in the postgame. And said that, the numbers speak for themselves. The numbers don't lie. Of course they don't lie. But last I checked, it's not a goalie team. It's a team. And Pete DeBoer was shown the door, and it's a new era in Dallas. So will we see a little bit of a hangover effect here for the Stars, or are they going to put this behind them and put their best foot forward and come out swinging to start 2025, 2026?
I think they come out swinging, to be honest. I think they made the right move, especially when a coach does that. And, yes, coaches, their job as a coach, players' jobs are to play, right? But it did feel like DeBoer kind of crossed the line there with his comments with Ottinger. And I think making that clean break makes it easier for this team to kind of put things back, and just say that was the past. That was last season. We're a new season. And I mean, this roster is very good, older roster, but it is a very good roster. And they do have, injection of young players that are, making an impact here. But it does feel like, though, if this could be very, I don't want to say last dance-ish, but kind of, where it's like you're probably going to have to make a decision on Jason Robertson, who's an RFA at the end of the season and is going to be probably due for a massive extension. You have Thomas Harley, who also needs a massive extension. You have some other guys that you probably want to take care of here. Of course, you have Mikko Rantanen, who's going to be in his first full season after you traded for him at the deadline last year. You're not going to have Jamie Benn for a good chunk, to start the season here, but it does feel like this Dallas Stars team could look very different a year from now than what it looks like right now. And this has been one of the best teams over, the past 5 or 6 years, but has just never been able to get the thing done. is this the year? Like, is this the year that they kind of just move on without Pete DeBoer and get this thing done? Because I do think they're going to come out positive. I think this was the best way to manage it. What do you think?
Yeah, this was really their only choice. Like I just don't see there being any way that would not have ended horribly had they just decided, hey, nothing to see here. Everybody just be friends. Like this, I think there was a much bigger chance for a like catastrophe start had they kept DeBoer and just kind of said, like, let's just hope that time heals all wounds, as opposed to bringing in a new coach with somebody that's going to be able to unite everybody and say, hey, that was then, that's not now. I think Dallas will rebound from it and recover. The interesting one to me, and you talked about it a little bit, is the Jason Robertson situation. Like, what is Dallas going to do here?
Yeah.
Because if you asked them, if you gave them their preference, you just move Tyler Seguin. Easy.
Yeah.
Done.
Take the Tyler Seguin money and just give it to Jason Robertson.
Yeah. The only problem with that is that he has a no movement clause. Yes. So if you're going to wait that out, you got to do like a 1-year deal with Robertson.
Yeah.
Walk him all the way to unrestricted free agency and then sign him to a new deal. Or you have to ask Seguin, who is a veteran on a good Dallas team. You have to ask him if he's willing to leave said Dallas team, which I don't know if he would necessarily be wanting to do.
I mean, would you give up nearly $10 million? Not like in a tax-free state?
No.
Yeah. You wonder though if they do like with Jason Robertson, like, hey, we'll give you a little bump this year, 8 million or whatever, 9 million, something like that. But we also have this contract sitting here waiting for you as soon as the next one expires. A little wink, wink type of it. And yes, it happens, guys. Like it 100% happens.
It happens all the time.
Don't be like, you wonder if that's part of the like, hey, we want to take care of you. We want you to be a star for a long time. Here's this deal. We got this other one lined up for you. As soon as you can sign an extension, we will get that. We'll get that bad boy ready for you and good to go. So yeah, I do wonder if maybe there's something like that, especially with this potential Seguin money coming off in 2 seasons. But again, if he's like, because it kind of feels like he's been out there. Teams have definitely offered. If Robertson's like, well, you know what, I think it's time for me to go. What are you getting back? Because again, this is a Stars team that has cup aspirations, right? Like, I don't think anything you get back is going to help you win a cup this year, right?
No, and to further complicate things, you also have Thomas Harley,
who also needs a massive extension at some point here too. Yes. Yeah. It's brutal. It's brutal. Do not envy the Star. That's the problem when you draft and develop good players, right? You got to pay them, unfortunately.
I mean, again, simple solution for Thomas Harley is to just move Essel and Dell, but he has a full no trade clause.
And that bad boy is
You just got to trade Jake Ottinger while he has no trade protection.
That'll solve.
You can win with Casey DeSmith, right? Right?
Yes, Casey DeSmith. Casey DeSmith and I don't know who else. Whatever a Benjamin Cross is, I guess. So
it's just going to take a little creative maneuvering. Dallas has been doing this for a while. The salary cap is a myth. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. Jason Robertson on the team next year or not? Let's question. Is 2026 season Jason Robertson plays for the
Vegas Golden Knights?
That would suck so much.
I'm mostly joking, but I'm also just trying to mentally prepare myself for it.
Yeah.
But what Vegas doesn't even have anything to offer.
They'll just flip Mark Stone or something like that. Here, take Mark Stone's aging corpse. We'll flip for Jason. That's
No. Well, we'll let Dallas handle that, and we'll move from the era of Jason Robertson uncertainty to the post Marner era up north.
Oh, you had the Nick Robertson slide right there. The segue from Jason Robertson to Nick Robertson right there, Seth.
See, it was too easy. It was too easy. So
okay,
we will move from Jason Robertson to Nick Robinson. I said Robinson. Nick Robertson. We'll do the Robertson connection as we talk Toronto as we finish today's episode of Locked On NHL after this. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Let's talk Toronto Maple Leafs. They got rid of a notable player in the offseason, Mr. Mitch Marner, who signed and traded his way to the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, it's obviously it's a Toronto team that is supremely talented. Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Matthew Knies, John Tavares, Max Domi. I could go on and on and on. Are we? There are a couple of questions that I have here. Number one, Matthew Knies is just going to slot right into that Marner role, and they're not going to miss a beat, right?
Question mark. You think so? You had him as one of the best young players in the NHL. You think he's going to just, maybe even better than Marner, like two Marners. Has Mitch Marner been holding back Matthew Knies? Question mark.
People have been saying this. One person,
if Knies comes out hot to start the season, there's going to be somebody in Toronto that says that. Like if he comes out with like 8 points in his first like 5 games or something like that, somebody's going to say Mitch Marner was holding back Matthew Knies. I cannot wait.
Unbelievable.
But true. Somebody's going to say it. FanDuel won't even put odds on that one.
Too spicy.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
So
Matthew Knies, maybe.
I do think that Matthew Knies will make the transition pretty seamless. He is a supremely talented player, and you've got a young kid too that, and this is going to probably sound weird. You've got a young kid too who is not at the point where he wants the spotlight for himself, which I don't have anything to suggest that was an issue with Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews and William Nylander, but those are three pretty high level NHL players sharing the spotlight in one place. I would imagine at some different points there have been just even thoughts in your head of like, boy, it'd be nice to be able to be the guy. Knies is at a point in his career where he is like, I get to play with Austin Matthews and William Nylander. Are you kidding me? So I think that is going to play itself out quite well. But I think Knies is no slouch. He's skilled enough to be able to be a critical part of what Toronto is trying to do. And I think he'll gel with those guys just fine.
Yeah. I do wonder with this team, right? Because you hear that they're trying to move one of these, like a contract here, whether it's like aforementioned Nick Robertson, David Comp, like one of these kind of bottom six type of players, trying to move one of these guys, one to open up some more cap space for themselves and to just a little bit more cap flexibility. Like who's kind of the odd man out here for this Toronto team, like especially when you 14 forwards, like none of these guys are on ELCs or any, like not waivers exempt. Like you're pretty kind of stuck with the guys you have here. I am very curious to see how they kind of resolve that going into the season. And there's been, Nick Robertson, is somebody going to take a swing on him as a, guy who maybe a new place is able to kind of get his career going here. But they have to move somebody out here to give themselves some roster flexibility.
Yeah, they just have a bunch of almost the same types of players. Like they got a bunch of iPhones. You've just got, you've got an iPhone 10, you've got an iPhone 11, you've got an iPhone 9, you've got an iPhone 8. You just many of the same versions.
John Tavares, the original iPhone.
Max Domi, the iPhone Mini. I don't know. I don't know. It just feels like you have the same version of one player, just multiple iterations. The multiverse. You've got the same version of one player through different universes, universi,
easily.
The interesting thing too is, there was so much made about like, Craig Berube going to a mostly offensive club, and honestly, I think that part of it worked out fine. It's just going to be a matter of, as we have seen for the last 13, 14 years, when it gets to be like big crunch playoff time, is the goaltending going to be enough? And are we going to see like the top end guys get the job done? That has been the question every single postseason for a while.
Yeah. I mean, they just resigned, or they gave Solars an extension. So he got a 4 years, 15 million total. It's 3.75 AAV. I mean, again, kind of like the Kings, right? The regular season doesn't matter for the Maple Leafs, does it? It's get to the playoffs. And can you actually do the thing? Because this team is very, like, a lot of star power, but it just kind of feels like the depth, right? And as you mentioned, you just have a bunch of the same type of dudes. And you saw the Panthers, right? The reason why they won is because you had a third line that was made up of like just guys who are top 6 players elsewhere. But here on this very special team, they are able to play a effective reduced role, but a very effective reduced role. And that's like, you see teams try to do it all the time, right? Like Edmonton last year brought in Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner, very effective player, playing on bad teams in the top 6, but just wasn't the same guy playing that third or fourth line role, and just didn't work out for them. So you do wonder how Toronto like tries to find that balance of scoring / grit / intangibles, I guess, in your bottom 6 to kind of put them over the edge. So yeah, I think this is a team, like, they kept losing the first round. I think now the funniest thing is that they just keep losing the second round. So I'm just going to predict that they lose in the second round every now. Yeah. Like 10.
Congratulations. You got one rung further up the ladder, but now you fall anyway. On the defensive side too, I would think it would behoove the Blue Jays to start to look at younger, cheaper options than what they...
The Leafs or the Blue Jays? Or both?
All of the above. All of Toronto.
What are the Raptors doing? Should we have Sean on to talk?
All of Toronto should collectively look at the Maple Leafs defensive situation so that they can come up with a younger, cheaper alternative to what they currently have locked in, because you've got Morgan Riley, Jake McCabe, Chris Tanev, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who are all 31 plus. 3 of those 4 are locked in through 2030. One of them's locked in through 2028. You then have Brandon Carlo it's an older decor, and at this point, I don't know what they have for prospects defensively, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to start taking a peek, I think, at the blue line.
Yeah, I don't think any of their defensive prospects are going to be like Ben Danford will probably be in a couple of years, but like not making an impact right away. I wonder like the OEL, right? Because you saw again a smart team like the Panthers where they get him in on the cheap, kind of rehabilitate him, come in, play really well for us, and then you can go earn a contract elsewhere. And then the Maple Leafs are very happy to give him that contract. I'm kind of curious to see how he performs for Toronto. I think if he plays well, like you could kind of squint and be like, okay, I can see the defense being, pretty solid. But if he kind of reverts to what we saw, before Florida, this defense, I think, could be a little leaky here too. I think he's a big piece on this blue line and how they perform. So
time will tell, as with all of these teams, kind of what we're looking at here as the season gets started. And of course, Locked On NHL will have you covered as we gear up for the start of the season with the biggest storylines each and every day, injury news, you name it. We've got it. So make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We've got you covered every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network.